Hello, all of you strategic thinkers. I'm JB from STS, and in this video, I'll be walking you through a template that I've developed on the STS platform. And that template is specifically designed or geared towards helping organizations tackle climate change. If you're new to STS, please have a look at our website. We've provided the link in the description. And also, if you want to get a step further, you can request an access to the platform. That way, you'll be able to collaborate and interact with us, including on the platform I'll be showing to you in a minute. Also, we've uploaded videos previously that go into a bit more details on the STS environment and cognitive architectures with which we're working. All right, now, so here we are in the template. What you're looking at the moment is what we refer to in STS as a study. That's the environment you're seeing in front of your eyes now. The study is the room in which thinkers of centuries past used to retreat in order to think, surrounded by their books, their encyclopedia, their maps, etc. So this is really kind of the virtual equivalent of the room that used to be called a study. Now, in here, you see the title, and we'll get to that in a minute, but various elements are present. So, this first one, the grayed out area here, we refer to that as a station, almost like a desk or a station in which there are different tools. So, the white labels in here are tools. Again, this all makes sense. This will all make sense, hopefully, after a little bit of playing and tinkering with the platform. Again, our previous videos go into a bit more detail, but it's just important for you to understand this. And uh, since this is a virtual environment, there are absolutely no limits. Well, maybe there are, I don't know them, but there are no limits to the number of station tools and terms you can add in there. So, very powerful. But the template I'll be showing now is a bit of a simplified version, and it's called zero point 0.1 for a reason, because I hope that, together, interacting with you, interacting with others and clients, will be able to build this to a point where it's really, really spectacularly effective and efficient. And since this is just a template, I've also included a bit of a placeholder content or description. So the template will be used for assisting a soap making and retail cooperative, as you can see here if I zoom in a bit. This is just a standard example I use here and there. It's based on a movie. I guess some of you may know which movie that is. But I find it useful just to have a bit of a case study to explore that template in all its potential. So the first step when I do any kind of sustainability mandate or when we assist any kind of client on sustainability and ESG is to have some understanding of the context, and especially, and you'll see it's the first tool that we have in this context station is the call for action. Why do we need, or why does the company or organization need to advance on climate change or sustainability? In this case, I've included the following: pressure from sponsors and funders, and staff expectation. That's for the soap company, and we let's pretend that's their key driver. And by the way, this is not fixed. So I could decide, for instance, to include another item in here. Let's say new client opportunity as a key driver of change. So I just type that in, pressed enter, and this will now be part of the cognitive architecture or the content of this tool. Moving on now, again, part of the context, but the stakeholders and their expectations. Now, this is usually where you would want to go and ask, and perform some interviews or launch surveys. STS has some templates, exercises, interview guides, etc., to help you do that. And also, most importantly, as access to tools in order to be able to synthesize all of this and boil it down to the essential pressures or expectation from stakeholders. But I did that for us at this point, and I just added the following: key clients want sustainable products as the same cost as regular products. So that's a constraint that's usually, but that's frequent in at least the retail side of things. And I've also added, just again invented, but some clients, in brackets hotels, would need to be able to disclose the carbon content of the products that they're putting in the guest rooms. And finally, still in the context, we've added the following. So strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, or the SWOT analysis. Uh, it's something that is quite standard in strategic planning. But whenever we're thinking about climate change and sustainability related objectives, they tend to also be strategic and influenced by what can or cannot be done by a given organization. So here I've added some strengths, weaknesses, again in the description of each. And all of this, by the way, will be taken into account when we go and ask the agents or the LLMs, large language models, or artificial intelligence for answers. It will take into account what is possible in our case and what is a bit more difficult for this, again, the soap company. Before going into the artificial intelligence side of this discussion, it's important to note that STS is there to facilitate the collaboration between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. There are things that only humans can do, and some of what we've been doing, providing context for the organization operation, its strength, weaknesses, and threats, the demands from stakeholders, are mostly things that are best understood and enunciated by humans. Same goes for the strategic objectives. The artificial intelligence can provide some very, very good ideas, and we'll see that in a minute. But at the end of the day, it's humans that are deciding where to take an organization in the for the next 3, 5, 10 years. So moving on from the context, we'll go a bit further down, but this could be left, right? It depends on your preferences. I've put it down, but we have this section or this station, which is called Ask the Agent. So this is where we'll go and interrogate the LLMs. But before we do this, just a particularity, the output will be requesting. I've asked it to be divided in three categories. You can see here if I zoom in a bit. But first of all, I want to know what are the simple, affordable, and immediate climate change actions I can have for my soap cooperative. The medium-term actions that may require a bit more, and the bold, longer-term climate change mitigation action. So I'm already telling the LLMs, your answer should be divided thus. Furthermore, and this is where it gets into a bit of the mechanics or under the hood particularities of STS, is that we can specify where in this study that I just described the models or the agents should be looking in order to get guidance. So I don't want recommendations that are applicable only to a steel making company in Bangladesh, right? I want answers that are relevant to my case, to my strengths and weaknesses, to my stakeholders. So this is where we can specify some of that. So let's go ahead, and in the prompt, I'll just include what I had prepared here. So what can our cooperative do to reduce its impact on climate change? And so with that, I hit enter, and while it computes and looks for answers, I'll just maybe show you around the other parts of this study. Once we get some answers, we will be able to drag and drop. I'll demonstrate that in a minute, but drag and drop the answers that we find are relevant into what, let's say, what we should aim for in terms of mitigation actions. So we'll be able to drag some of this here. If there are some key actions and projects that we want to do and want to recommend, we can drag them here as well. So with that, let's see what the agent has provided us. So as I mentioned, you can see it's divided between the three categories. So the first one, simple, affordable, and immediate climate change actions. You can see the usual, which is good. These are the basic building blocks of any approach. energy efficiency is something that I would personally really encourage. So let's just say I take this and I'll already put it in the key actions and projects. Right. So I put it in here. I'll just go and look at the others. Medium term climate change mitigation actions. Electric vehicle. Okay, that's good. Water conservation. Oh, that's a bit of a surprise, but indeed, if you're a soap making company, you're using a lot of water. Usually, you have to heat it or to bring it to a certain temperature. So this may be a way to conserve energy by reducing or using water in an efficient fashion. Finally, okay, this one is fun. Bold and longer term climate change mitigation actions. You can see all of this here: green innovation, perhaps in production, and net zero emissions. So that's really bold. But let's say this fits with my stakeholders, with my strengths and weaknesses, and I put it here as something we should aim for in terms of sustainability action, net zero emissions. All right, so that was it for the very quick tour of my template, zero point 0.1, right? Because I hope that together we can improve this, make it even more precise, sophisticated. It's super hard to make a template interesting, but I hope at least it gave you some desire to jump in and collaborate with us. This is really just a start, right? Because we started with the context, we've asked the LLMs for some ideas, but in the next videos and perhaps next iteration, we'll be able to dig further down into how do we actually implement a strategy around climate change or sustainability. So how do we manage change? What type of exercises do we need? What type of ideas and information we need to put in the same space for everybody in the organization to access and contribute to. So I'm really excited about this, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.